now it is currently being held by a Japanese apple. I forget the name, but I'm sure we could produce something pretty big on this. It's offspring of that apple over the apple tree over there in a Blenheim orange, which is Newton Wonder, which is a good all-round cooking apple. Now, all of these trees have been planted in the last 10 years. Some of these are this year's planting. These are 2 years old. Most of them are at least 100 years old. This is one of the exceptions. This is Rosette, and it's a red-fleshed apple that's ready in August usually. So that's quite a modern apple. I think it's a sport of discovery. All of these fruits are on M106 rootstocks, which means they're medium vigour up to about 10 to 14 feet high. Come and have a look at this back row here. These are the oldest apples. And these are approaching 7, 8, even 9 years old. And this is what they look like after 7 or 8 years. This is Ribston Pippin. Goes back to the 1600s. A wonderful apple. This is Katie. That's a mixture between this one over here, which is James Grieve, and Worcester Pearmain, which is an old early apple. Very tasty. Now this is probably our biggest apple tree in the orchard. This is James Grieve, and I'd strongly recommend this. This was around in 1895. It's from Scotland, but it does particularly well here. Always produces a lot of fruit. The blossom's just going, but it's open for a long time. Wonderful apple tree. You can be picking these in August and using them as cookers. I cut them up and put them in my porridge in the morning. And in September, it's a really good eating apple. You can cook with it as well. But it's really good at pollinating lots of the other apple trees. So strongly recommend this one. Does really well on our soil. We're about 400 feet high on the North Downs, so we're on a small amount of topsoil, then about that much clay, then chalk. Drains out really quick. This is Yarlington Mill, which is a West Country cider apple, a bit like a red wine of the ciders. It's a full-bodied single variety, which means you can make cider from just this apple, fully rounded cider from just this apple. Over here we've got a John Downey crab apple. This is largely here for pollination of the others, but it does produce a nice little crab apple. And that is in our Bunyard catalogue of 1895 as well, as is that one, as is that one. And this one was absolutely beautiful this year. This is Cat's Head. Now Cat's Head is a very old apple, probably going back to the 1600s at least. Some people believe it's a corruption of costard, which is where we get the term costermonger from, apple cider, and could go back even further, the 1200s. But this was absolutely smothered with blossom this year, and it's a good cooking apple. It's not quite as tart as a Bramley, but it's a good cooking apple and a beautiful tree. Now, over here, this is one of my favourite trees. This comes from Suffolk. I don't know if you can see the foliage here, this lovely red foliage. This is called Sops in Wine. And the foliage on this is beautiful. And the blossom is the brightest magenta you'll ever get. It's absolutely beautiful. Hasn't got any this year. Did produce its first fruit last year, so I'm taking it's got a year off. But the red flesh on some of these apples they found in the 1800s, the cider that they used to make from this red-fleshed apple has a particular ingredient in it which is really good for the valves in the heart. And when they did some research into the people that lived around where these cider apple orchards were, in Herefordshire I think it was, some of these red-fleshed apples, they found that people lived longer than average. So they believe there's a really strong protector of the heart in the chemical compound in the red-fleshed apples. Okay, Beauty of Bath. I was going to take that out last year because I thought I don't rate the apples, doesn't produce a lot, but last year it produced a lovely early apple. I think so much with some of these apple trees depends on the year, the climate, the water, the sunshine. The flavours come through some years and not other years. Okay, and then we've got a few others here. We've got Tom Putt here that had an accident with a horse in the winter, so that's been cut back down. This is early Emnet or early Victoria. This is the only tree in the orchard that's not on an M1106. I grafted that from a neighbour's orchard just down the road, but that's doing really well. Bit of diversity on the rootstock sometimes is interesting. It's another cider apple, Yarlington Mill. Got a rootstock coming up there, and then we've got Newton Wonder here. So that's just a rough idea of, we've got about 21 trees in at the moment, and that's just a little rough guide. And of course, what we're trying to do is spread the harvest out so we get apples from August right through to March or April, and that's for eating. But one of the real drives is to make our own cider, and this is one of the last bottles of our cider from this year. So we're going to crack this open now, and believe me, this is an Eastern style mixture of cookers and eaters. It doesn't taste like shop stuff. And here's to all you budding gardeners. Good health to you all.